Hey there guys, I'm here today with attorney Michael Cindrich, an expert in the medical marijuana field, and he actually has very graciously volunteered his time to address some of my questions that I have as a new medical marijuana patient. So thank you, Mike, for volunteering your time. We definitely appreciate this. Let's get right into it. Hypothetically, okay, let's say I just got my card, and I have to drive places, right? And I'm medicating, frequently or infrequently, whatever. It's going to come up that I may need to drive after a couple hours after medicating or whatever. Or if you're a medical marijuana patient who has not yet talked to their doctor and gotten the recommendation, really, what can all of us people do basically? How can we best avoid a marijuana DUI, or what should we know? What do you think we should know in order to keep ourselves safe in that situation?
That's a great question. The first thing that you should know is that in California, there is no per se level of marijuana in someone's blood for a DUI. So it's not like alcohol, where if you're above a 0.08, you're presumed to be under the influence, and there's actually a statute with alcohol that if you're above a 0.08, you can get a DUI, and you can get convicted of a DUI. Well, in California, there's no level of marijuana in your blood that equates being under the influence, or that would give you a DUI. So really, it's a case-by-case determination. So what you need to know is, if you get pulled over and the officer suspects you may be under the influence of marijuana, really what they're going to be using, besides your blood test, are your field sobriety tests, and how you perform on those field sobriety tests. And one thing that you do need to be aware of is, you're not required to do the field sobriety tests. So if you get pulled over and you decline field sobriety tests, and you give a blood sample, and they find marijuana in your blood, it's going to be extremely difficult for them to prove that you were actually driving under the influence based solely on the amount of marijuana that's in your blood. Now, if you're driving all over the road, you get involved in an accident, something along those lines, they could use your driving to show that you're under the influence. But if you don't perform the field sobriety test, which you're not required to, then really all they have is a blood level. And the law does not say that it's illegal to drive with marijuana in your system. And actually, some of you may be familiar with Marinol, which is the federal government's, it's the FDA-approved synthetic THC, and they give it out in pill form. And the warning label on Marinol, and I'm paraphrasing, I don't know the exact wording, says something along the lines of, do not drive or operate heavy machinery until you determine how the substance affects you. Mm-hmm. So if you look at Marinol, and you look at all the other prescription drugs that we're generally given, those prescription drugs say, do not drive or operate heavy machinery, period, while using this medication. Well, Marinol, which is synthetic marijuana essentially, they say don't do this until you determine how this affects you. Mm-hmm. So that's something you need to keep in mind. The law doesn't say that you're not allowed to use marijuana and drive a vehicle. It says you cannot drive while under the influence of marijuana. And under the influence of a drug means you cannot operate your vehicle with the caution or care of an ordinary sober person acting under similar circumstances.
Awesome. Wow. Well, I just definitely learned a lot. That was blowing my mind, actually. So, definitely thank you for sharing that. And really anyone who's come into a marijuana DUI or really any medical marijuana issue, Mr. Mike Cindrich right here has an amazing track record for success here in San Diego. And even if you're outside of San Diego, talk to Mike. Whatever you got going on, I think he definitely knows somebody somewhere that could definitely help you out. So again, thank you for taking the time to answer my questions here today, and we'll see you guys soon.